People are absolutely terrified of being alone, and it is rarely because solitude itself is physically painful. It is because the second the background noise finally stops, they are forced into a sudden, inescapable meeting with themselves. We live in a bizarre paradox. A person can carry a device in their pocket, accrue 10,000 digital followers, receive a constant stream of messages from sunrise to sunset, and still experience an overwhelming sense of emptiness. The noise of a crowded room cannot fill a hollow soul. Modern culture has conditioned a very specific reflex. The exact instant we feel a flash of uncertainty, boredom, or emotional discomfort, we instinctively reach for a screen. We use entertainment as a sedative to avoid spending even a few minutes alone with our own thoughts. By continuously avoiding that internal dialogue, we surrender our direction. We spend years, sometimes decades, building lives, chasing goals, and purchasing things we don't actually care about. We adopt an identity that belongs to the crowd simply because we never created enough quiet space to hear our own voice. To fix this, we have to recognize that loneliness and solitude are entirely different states of being. Loneliness is a state of lack. It says, nobody is with me. Solitude is a state of readiness. It says, I finally have the space to figure out who I am. If we map this out, we can see the mechanism of intentional solitude. It is the practice where you deliberately pull away from the external noise of the world to isolate and discover your internal identity. It is a strategic, necessary withdrawal to build strength. Years ago, there was a man who understood this perfectly. He wasn't famous, and he had no audience, but every single morning at 5 o'clock, he would put on an old jacket and walk outside for an hour. No phone, no music, no podcasts, just him and the quiet morning air. When asked why he insisted on walking alone every single day, his answer revealed the exact stakes of this habit. He said, if I don't spend time leading myself, I will spend the rest of the day being led by everyone else. Reaching your next level of personal growth requires temporary separation. If you are planted in an environment where people constantly reinforce your limitations and feed your doubts, you will struggle. Stepping away breaks the influence of an outdated environment on your identity. Look at this causal sequence showing how human behavior is actually shaped. Your ultimate results are always downstream from your thinking. You cannot access a better future without changing your actions, and you cannot change your actions without changing your thoughts. Solitude provides the only access point to the very first step in this chain. Your mind operates like a glass of muddy water. Shake it with constant notifications and borrowed opinions, and your thinking remains entirely cloudy. Stillness allows that sediment to fall. The quiet creates the clarity, and that clarity upgrades your thinking. With a clear mind, you can honestly examine what you tolerate in your life. This internal examination raises your personal standards, which immediately trickles down to alter your decisions, reshape your daily actions, and ultimately lock in a new destiny. This exact philosophy, that your life improves only when your standards improve, was detailed by Jim Rohn, who understood self-examination is a strict requirement for success. You cannot engineer new external results while maintaining the same internal thoughts. The external world only shifts after you sit alone, examine your current patterns, and deliberately decide to think differently. Think about the mechanics behind any great achievement you admire. The athlete dialing in before sunrise, the student studying in empty libraries, the artist refining their craft alone. The heavy lifting of human growth always happens in private. Society focuses exclusively on the harvest. We celebrate the sudden promotion, the public victory. We applaud the final result, ignoring the quiet sacrifices and silent investments that made it inevitable. It operates like a bamboo tree. For years, there is no visible progress above the soil. But deep underground, in complete darkness, an expansive root system violently pushes through the dirt, building the structural integrity for explosive growth. You might be sitting in a season right now where your effort feels entirely ignored. You are doing the work, yet progress seems agonizingly slow. The quiet mornings and the difficult choices feel unrewarded because nobody is applauding you. Let the quiet validate the effort. Authentic confidence does not require an audience. It is manufactured by keeping the promises you make to yourself on the days when absolutely no one is watching. Surviving this invisible process gives you a distinct advantage: emotional independence. When you build your identity in the quiet, your motivation is generated internally. You no longer measure your worth by public approval, and your actions remain steady even when your emotions fluctuate. Everyone faces a strict binary choice regarding the pain they will endure. Pain itself is inevitable. Failure, loss, and disappointment will visit every person, but the agonizing suffering of regret is entirely optional. Picture a timeline exactly 10 years from today. Imagine walking into an empty room and staring directly into the eyes of the person you became. That person is currently under construction, being built by the choices you're making this afternoon. Will that future version of you say thank you, or demand to know what happened? What happened to the goals? What happened to the promises? Why did you trade your destiny for cheap daily distractions? When you sit quietly and confront that possibility, a harsh reality surfaces. Your greatest limitations were never the economy, your circumstances, or your timing. Your greatest limitation was your internal refusal to sit in the quiet, examine excuses, and take action. Acknowledging that nobody is coming to save you is the most powerful realization you can have. The exact moment you stop waiting to be rescued is the moment you take full ownership of your trajectory. Personal responsibility is the mechanism that grants you control over your life. This structure reveals greatness is not an event. It's the unglamorous accumulation of microscopic, disciplined choices, compounding over time. Your destiny is built by one excuse eliminated, 1 hour invested, one walk alone. Small actions, repeated consistently, forge an unshakable future. Stop negotiating with the person you know you can become. The conditions will never be perfect. The crowd will never stop trying to distract you. You have to decide that your future is too expensive to leave to chance. Make the firm choice today. Put the phone down, step away from the noise, and take a walk alone. Embrace the silence, listen to your own thoughts, and intentionally design the exact person you are destined to become.